What is up, Whisper Nation? Hopefully, we are good right now. Let us know if you can hear us or can't hear us, I should say. Um, we could try to fix our audio quality if it's not there. Travis, how you doing, buddy?
What's going on, Johnny?
Dude, I
Doing
couldn't
good, man.
couldn't stay away from Whisper Nation that much longer, dude. All this football news that's coming out got me excited. I just want to hop on the ones and twos and talk with you, talk with some news, talk with Whisper Nation, see what they're thinking. We got some requests to do more live streams. Why not? Why not just jump on
Yeah,
here?
look, it's always good to get on here and talk through some of these news and notes. We got a few big things coming out in the news, and just talk a little bit. Maybe we'll jump into some ADP, look at where guys are at, and talk a little fantasy football. Get Whisper Nation something to talk about. Obviously, we got some sports back, baseball and basketball ramping up. That's
Yeah.
exciting.
You've been watching any? You've been watching any?
I watched a little bit of baseball. Watched a little bit of some highlights of the basketball warm-ups, getting ready for that to get kicked back off.
Who's your baseball team? What baseball team you like?
The Angels.
The
So like
Angels. All right.
yeah, Angels, yeah.
Angels in the
Like
outfield,
Trout.
huh?
That's right, dude.
There
That's a
you go.
classic.
There you go.
That's a classic.
Well, basketball. I've been watching some basketball. Basketball's been good. Excited for that regular season. Last 8 games. Listen, I understand you're a Lakers fan and you guys are accustomed to playoffs. But we have not had playoffs in a long time. So it is well known amongst us Phoenix Suns fans that this is indeed like our playoffs. So I'm really looking forward to these 8 games.
Yeah, if I understand the format correctly, you guys are actually going to get a shot here to
Yeah.
make it into it.
Yeah, and hopefully they're like Hamilton.
What do you guys
and
have
not
to
gonna
do?
Basically, go 8-0. It's pretty unlikely that we'll get in. But hey, never say never. You got all these guys like dropping out and come back to the bubble.
Who
and
knows? Yeah.
Who knows? You never say never, dude.
All right. Okay.
All right. So,
Are we hopping on Instagram too, or we?
do you want to hop on Instagram? Is that what you're
Yeah,
feeling?
why don't we? Yeah, why don't we
right,
do
why
both?
not? Why
Little dual
not?
stream.
Why not? All right, we'll jump on as well. If you are watching with us here, we will be going over some news and notes and stuff like that. We have a couple of big announcements that we want to talk about. So we'll be doing that. This was kind of like a spur of the moment type of live. So hang with us. We want to.
Yeah, Johnny just he's like, "Hey man, your pool time's over. Get on the mic. You can't be by the pool anymore. I had to throw a shirt on. I don't like throwing a shirt on, but Whisper Nation, I got to keep it PG for them." So
yeah, I mean, they'll appreciate it. We thought that we'd just go ahead and talk some news and notes for today. Kind of start getting ramped up for the new regular season and kind of the schedule that we'll kind of hold there. We will be doing our lives earlier in the morning before the shows, but hey, this is our first one. We're just getting warmed up. We're just trying to test the water. We're just sticking our toes
yeah,
in.
listen, you guys got questions, Dynasty Keeper, you got drafts coming up. Ask them away, man.
Yeah.
We'd love to answer them. That's what we're here for. You got us for about another 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Who knows? We get going on here. We may never stop. Just get warmed up for that 24-hour mock draft marathon.
Oh,
maybe we'll do a quick 12 hours real quick.
Well, speaking of which, Travis, do you want before we get into that, you want to announce what are you talking about? Some people that might not are not familiar with our channel might not know exactly what you're talking about with the mock draft marathon. So
so last year we decided to take on a big undertaking, and we thought it would be really cool. We know Whisper Nation loves the mock draft, so we thought, hey, let's mock draft for 24 straight hours. It equated to about 24 mock drafts. It's about a mock draft an hour. Just depends on what's going on, what kind of drafts we do. We get people within the industry. We get giveaways and prizes, and we let Whisper Nation come on and mock with us. You know, we give out that link and we let you guys hop on with us. It's a really exciting, really fun time, and it's one of our favorite times of year. We just get to really connect with so many people in the industry, so many people out there that love fantasy football, and just build this community up. Last year, we had over 20 guests within the industry. We plan on announcing some big names within the industry here in the next couple of days that we've been working on getting these deals done. backdoor deals. Me and Johnny in the back with cigars, smoky cigars, just
Right.
going.
So,
Just doing our
Travis,
thing.
I jumped on our Instagram. We got a lot of people coming in. What's up, guys? Appreciate you guys
Nice.
joining
So we
on
get
the
on over
live.
there.
Big Travie will be joining us here shortly. We are also streaming live on our YouTube page. We're just going to be talking some fantasy football, going over some news and notes from this past week. If you guys have lineup questions or draft questions, please feel free to ask. We'll go ahead and go over that. On the show, this is kind of like a free flowing show. We're gonna go over some news and notes, things like that. So kind of get us back in the flow of these weekly shows that we'll be doing throughout the season on Sunday mornings normally, getting you guys ready for your lineup questions here. But Travis, let's just jump into this first question here. I got a question for you, or a bit of news here. Okay. So the first part is that running back Devonta Freeman has hired agent Drew Rosenhaus, who is on a mission to have him on a team by late July. Well, there are 7 days left in July. So what are you thinking? Do you think Devonta Freeman will be on a team by July, come the end of this month? And if so, what team do you think is he going to play for? Or would you like to see him play for?
I mean, no offense. Like, look, I want Devonta Freeman to be in the NFL. I think that's great. Like, go get your contract. That's great. But really, at this point, getting added to any team would not be fun. And you look right here, Chris Note 98 talks Freeman to the Niners with Breda gone. I don't want any part of Freeman going to the Niners.
No.
I was actually listening to the Roto World Football podcast.
It's like that's just like that State Farm commercial. That sounds hideous.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want any part of that running back by committee that would be going on there if that was the case. So I don't know. For me, Chris Note says Dark Horse could be the Bucks. There are some situations here that maybe become a little more interesting. The Bucks is one that you'd maybe take a look at, but I'm actually kind of sneakily liking Ronald Jones now. More and more we talk about it with this COVID off season.
I've got a little bit we got a little. Well, hell, why not just dive into that if you want to link the two? Speaking of which, Ronald Jones says he has added 6 to 8 pounds of muscle this offseason. He's also said he's catching 300 passes on the jugs machine every day. Tell me you haven't heard that before from Jordan Howard there. The sentiment around surrounding Ronald Jones feels like it's starting to really get really hot now. So where would you be starting to consider Ronald Jones, as part of this conversation? If Freeman does go to Tampa Bay, does that cool all of that talk now?
I think it would have to cool it just a little bit, only because Jones is not known for his pass catching. He's having to go into this offseason and work on the jugs and get his hands up. But also, he's kind of been the reason Keyshawn Vaughn gets a lot of credit is he's a great pass blocker, and Ronald Jones has not been historically a good pass blocker. So we'll see if he's able to pick that up. Maybe the extra muscle will help him get in the way of some of these linemen, these defenders coming in. But I just don't know if I'm too sold on that situation. But I do like Ronald Jones right now, going as RB32 in most leagues in the 8th round, Johnny, right behind Darius Geis, ahead of J.K. Dobbins, Marlon Mack, James White, Kerryon Johnson, some of these guys in full-blown committees, where Ronald Jones actually has a chance to come out of this as a lead dog kind of thing, kind of situation. So I actually do like him ahead of a lot of those guys. Yeah, so we've got Captain Savaho _ It's a great name on Instagram here. Thanks for joining in, guys. He declined a $5 million offer of the Hawks, so I'm assuming he's going somewhere to be a lead back. Yeah, that was when he had the agent that he ended up that she ended up firing him as a client.
Yeah.
And now Drew Rosenhaus has come on and said, look, I'm going to get him a deal. We know that he needs a deal. I think Freeman was really looking at a year where he may have had to sit out of the NFL. And I don't know if he's going to turn down another $5 million offer that he gets to be a backup somewhere. Yeah, I don't know if that's in the cards again.
And if he's going to the Bucks, the Bucks have already come out and said, or if the Bucks are looking at him, the Bucks have already come out and said, "Hey, we're not going to pay you." I think it was even reported smaller than that. I think it was $4 million, and you had Bruce Arians come out and say like he wasn't even worth the $4 million. So, to me, I don't think he'll go to the Bucks unless he significantly decreases that amount. And then at that point, it's like, why would you? I mean, yeah, I guess Tampa Bay is one of the heavy favorites, but you got to assume now Seattle's got to be one of the heavy favorites for the Super Bowl as well. So, to me, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what he's doing. I think his agent did the right move here in firing him because I don't think he really knows what he's doing or what.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a fan if he goes, he said Captain Savaho. Freeman was horrible last year. I'm not a fan. Look, I like Freeman's game a couple years ago. I thought he was one of the more exciting players in the NFL. He looks to be out of it now. And if he signs anywhere, it's just going to be more of a mess than it is going to be somebody you're going to be targeting in fantasy football going forward this year.
Guys, you want to turn your camera around on your phone? I think it's facing towards the.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Now you can see it. There we go. All right. So, if Whisper Nation has, like we said, chime in with your opinions. We love, running ideas off of you guys, seeing what you guys think as well. Again, these are just news and notes that we've, kind of picked out that we want to talk about here. All right. So, COVID is a big discussion going on. I know we don't like to talk about it too much on this show. We kind of like go on acting like it's not going to affect our season. Hoping
it's hard to talk about it when we don't have medical degrees, right? Like it's not something we're going to be able to give you guys a lot of information on. But I think we try to go within the realm of what we know here, and that's fantasy football and what we like to talk about.
Yeah. So it appears that any player is able to opt out of the 2020 season with a written notice by August 1st. With that, you have Mark Andrews, who does have type 1 diabetes. He did indicate that he plans to play in 2020. So, what do you expect? Do you expect a lot of players to opt out? Are you, when it comes to evaluating fantasy football players, are you taking a lot of weight into, that the COVID could potentially affect them when you're drafting them? How's that working for you?
Yeah, so there's a couple things, right, Johnny? I think we'll probably be within the 5 to 10 range of like marquee players that sit out. Todd Gurley's talked about it. You mentioned Mark Andrews right there, but I think if we get to anything more than that, you start seeing a few guys. If you get some of these MVP caliber type quarterbacks saying that they're going to sit out, then the dominoes could really fall. I could see a lot of these guys then making a choice to sit out because it's a possibility. But that being said, I actually think a lot of these players, you saw the social media posts from DeAndre Hopkins, Russell Wilson, OBJ, Patrick Mahomes just a couple Sundays ago talking about how bad they want to play. These guys want to play. I think that it's really just going to depend on these negotiations they're in with the NFL, the NFLPA, which a lot of that just got buttoned down as far as what's going on. So for me, that's where I kind of sit with those things. The bigger thing for me, we've talked about, is I think you guys need to get with your commissioners in your leagues and talk about expanded rosters for this year. Talk about COVID IR spots. Talk about situations within your league that are going to help you guys as managers mitigate some of the risk in some of these players, because we're talking about 3 weeks at least for some of these guys just to get COVID, sit out, and then be away from the team. Then there could be a whole other clearing process that they have to go through within the team and the team-specific doctors. I think, we've got the expanded rosters. Talk about 80 players on a roster now, Johnny, as opposed to a 53-man roster. So now we're talking about expanded rosters, which means for this year, you're going to get a lot of these redraft leagues where you're going to have to be a little bit more like a dynasty league, a little bit more in tune with some of these, backup players. So that's another big part of it. And then just this year, I think, backups and handcuffs are going to be more important than ever this year, just to know who is behind your guy on the depth chart, especially when talking about running backs. There are some things, and the last piece I'll say, there are some things I'm keeping an eye on. Rookies coming into the league this year. without the reps, without that live offseason, without that time to get in with their quarterbacks and get in with other players on the team, could get a little bit rough for these rookies. So just temper your
There it
expectations
is.
with these
Hamper the
rookies. Yeah.
expectations.
Just pump the brakes a little bit on the rookies. You might be sitting there a little bit disappointed.
We have
So we've got a question here.
Yeah.
Captain Savaho says, who do you guys think won the trade yesterday? Jamal Adams getting traded to the Seattle Seahawks, Johnny, for quite a haul. 2 first rounds. I think a first round next year and a first round in 2022.
Yeah.
Is it 2023?
No,
and then
the next 2, it's the next 2 years they get the Seattle's first rounder, and then and a 4th rounder, and then Seattle also gets a 4th rounder back, right?
Yeah.
So definitely think the Jets won this deal, for 2 reasons. One, Adams is getting near the end of his rookie deal, so they were going to have to pay him, and he is one of the best safeties in the league, and so they were going to have to pay him pretty hefty. I mean, we've been seeing, what some of these safeties are asking for on their contract, so definitely that was going. And let's say the Jets or at least Adam Gase isn't one that wants to pay his players very much money. And so that was definitely going to be a problem. So there were only like a handful of players that have gotten 2 first-round picks back for their services. So like Khalil Mack, Amari Cooper. You're looking at some of these guys that are really big name stars that are drawing back 2 first-round picks. So that's a lot of value. I don't care who you are. 2 first-round picks is a lot. And so I think the Jets won that. I don't even know who they're going to get.
Yeah, I would say that I would tend to agree with you that the picks, I mean, this was a massive haul. It was a nice haul, but we're talking about Jamal Adams potentially being one of these all-pro guys that maybe ends his career as a Hall of Famer, if he keeps on the trajectory he's on right now. So it really will depend on how good Jamal Adams is for the rest of his career, because anytime you're giving up a player like that, you don't love that coming back. You look at like what happened with I think of Minkah Fitzpatrick last year getting traded to Pittsburgh, and the immediate impact that he had, and he really changed that defense. And we know how god-awful Pittsburgh's offense was last year, and they still had an outside shot to win that division at the end of the year. They were 8-8. They still treaded water with that defense, which is making them pretty interesting this year. But just goes to show you, if you have that playmaker on defense, I think of Khalil Mack and the Raiders trade. We may actually sit back and say the Raiders came away with quite a decent haul on that after we were laughing John Gruden out of the building. But I do think, anytime you trade the signature player, you're going to look like it's not winning on the surface.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I'm not saying that Jamal Adams isn't a good safety, because he is, and Pete Carroll will put him in the right position to succeed, because that defense definitely hinges significantly around that safety position, and so yeah, that defense will be significantly better for it. It just they are tying up capital, they are tying up draft picks, and those 2 things are how you rebuild a team. And so for as long as they have Russell, they will compete, but you're going to start really hampering yourself on some of these deals, because you're going to have players coming up. They're going to want their slice of the pie, and this is kind of what happened the very first time with Seattle, when it kind of all fell apart in the beginning with the Legion boom, was because all these players were really, really good players, and they started wanting their money, and there's not enough money to go around. And so that's the only issue that I see. But for now, I mean, he's under contract for another couple of years, so definitely getting a very, very talented player, but not having 2 first-round picks for the next 2 years to rebuild your team, if it does go south, is really, really scary for sure.
Yeah. No, go for it.
Okay.
No, that was it. Yeah.
Okay. Speaking of rookies that you were talking about, there's a couple of key coaches speak rookie talk here. Sean McVay comes out and says, we talked about immediately pointed to the 2019 49ers when asked how the Rams running back backfield will approach. He says he likes how Shanahan managed that backfield committee, and so that's what he plans to do. So we talked about rookie Cam Akers, who is one of your dark horses to finish as the RB1 this year. But then we also have another rookie in Tua Tagovailoa, who declares himself ready and healthy to go before NFL camp. So you said rookies, you believe that they are going to have a problem coming into the NFL because of COVID, the learning curve. We've already seen how, rookies have a problem coming into the NFL. So obviously running backs are a little bit easier and quicker to adapt than quarterbacks are. But you want to let Whisper Notion, if they didn't get to check out our latest podcast, please do so. It is out now wherever you want to get podcasts. But we talk about this Sean McVay and this LA Rams offense, Travis. And why aren't you so worried about this RBBC?
Well, look, it's not something you want to hear. You never want to hear this talk out of your head coach that he wants to use a running back by committee, and then he looks to the Niners and says, this is the epitome of running back by committee.
Yeah.
Like this is the most running back by committee if there is such a thing, and so you don't love that. But what I did try to say in the podcast, which you guys can download wherever you get your podcast, is that if I'm going to choose a dark horse to win out, like just somebody out of the blue to win the RB1, I did like Cam Akers because McVay's already brought a running back to the number one at the position twice in a row with Todd Gurley. Is Cam Akers Todd Gurley? No. Is he as touted coming out of college? No, hell no. But I think there are some things you like out of Cam Akers' game. He played behind a really crappy line at Florida State. He's a juke machine. Like he definitely gets yards before contact and after contact and can kind of help this team who is kind of trying to get back the line to the days of Gurley in 2017, 2018. So those are the things you don't like or you liked about it. I don't think that Daryl Henderson and Malcolm Brown are equipped to be these pass blocking every down guys. We've seen Daryl Henderson have issues with pass blocking, and that is what's going to keep you on the field. Cam Akers, pretty good pass blocker, graded out really well in pass blocking from Pro Football Focus. So those are the things I kind of like. And then I would just say that, I think we haven't seen McVay do this yet. He's talked a big game about this, but we've seen him in the league for a few years now. Now, that being said, he could see what Shanahan's doing and say, look, this is a copycat league. I can change my story. I can get back to the offensive genius I was if I run a committee. So there is some things about Akers ADP that I'm not loving right now with this news coming out, but maybe this drives the ADP down and maybe you're able to get a value out of Cam Akers as your second, third, fourth running back in drafts.
Yeah, I definitely think, and I'm looking at this a little bit more, I think they have the same expectations too, right? Like, I don't think that they're looking at this and not saying to themselves, "Oh, rookies are not going to be affected." I mean, they're used to rookies. They have their hands on rookies. Every single training camp, so they already know actually what to expect. And then they could be not wanting to give up the starting job right away or come out right away and say, hey, Cam Akers is our starting running back from day one and not have him earn it. I mean, we've seen how Sean McVay does like his players, to earn starting roles and earn their position. So I do agree. I think ultimately I would love for this to drive down Cam Akers' ADP because if you can get him, where you were a couple of weeks ago, which was closer to DeAndre Swift, 7th, 8th round, I'm okay paying that or taking that ADP. But yeah, if he starts getting up there 4th, 5th round by Jonathan Taylor and things like that, that's a no-go for me.
He's sitting here pretty nice, though. I think this is a point that Captain Savaho makes here. He makes a few of these, actually. It's funny because the Rams' O-line was good in pass blocking but horrible in run blocking. And that's true, and they got better in pass blocking because they had to be, because no quarterback is worse against pressure in the NFL than Jared Goff. So when he gets flustered, they have to do this. And so actually, the big gripe last year, Johnny, was, the Rams aren't throwing to the backs. Like, they're throwing to the backs at the lowest rate in the league. And why is because they were using their backs in pass blocking. They had to bring them back to help that offensive line out. So hopefully you get a better offensive line this year that allows the backs to get back to what McVay likes, which is throwing to the running backs. Captain Savaho says that he's a fan of Akers ADP because literally every rookie running back is going to start the season in a committee. He says, I think CEH has a way worse ADP. I think you could make that argument that CEH, yeah, I mean, he's in the third round. That makes a lot of sense. But the difference is Andy Reid and this Patrick Mahomes and Ferrari of an offense that's going on in Kansas City. I trust that way more than I trust Los Angeles right now. I trust that CEH is a first-round running back with first-round pedigree. So there's some things that factor into that ADP. So you get why it's a little bit worse. But I think Akers is fine. I think he's fine where he's going right now. And I think with this news, he'll probably drop even further because I think the league or people will overreact just a little bit on that. I did want to talk about Dalvin Cook though, Johnny.
Yeah,
Dalvin Cook. So a couple reports, right? Tom Pelissero of New NFL's Network reports Dalvin Cook told his running backs coach that he will report to training camp. Then Dalvin Cook's agent refuted a report that he was planning on reporting to training camp on time for the second time in 3 hours.
It's like Dalvin Cook is like he wants to play and he wants to do this, and then his agent's like, dude, I'm telling you, hold out. And he's like, no, dude, I just want to play. Like, coach, I'm coming. No, I told you don't say anything. Like, you're holding out. Like, that's how this works. Like, I hope he shows up on time. That would give me a lot of confidence in him. Certainly, we think that he's going to be one of the best running backs in the league this year. We have him touted to be really, really high in drafts. And so the sooner that he comes back, the better, because not only for, fantasy football comfort of Dalvin Cook is there, but we've talked about it extensively, the history of players holding out and how that relates to injuries and things like that. Now this year it might be harder to gauge that because of COVID and we don't know those expectations or things like that. But definitely is good that, or you definitely hope that Dalvin is the one that's coming through here and saying that he is going to show up and he will be in fact there.
At this point we've just got a massive game of chicken between his agent and Minnesota, and we're just gonna have to wait until next week when teams report and see, hey, does Dalvin Cook show up? Because we're gonna find out who was lying this entire time. Like right. As soon as either he doesn't show up or he shows up, right?
Yeah. I don't know who he's talking to or what's going on there, but yeah, that's definitely interesting there. So, I mean, if he comes back right away, where do you move him, Travis? Where do you have him?
I think he's right where he should be right now if he's going to play this year. I think the danger comes in when we don't know if he's going to play or not, and then it's like can you afford to take him in the first round where you were taking guys like Melvin Gordon last year and then paying the price. But right now, Dalvin Cook has stayed steady at running back 5. He's in the first round, 106 right now. And I think that's where he belongs if he's going to suit up and play. So we're going to get another week. We're going to have no preseason this year. You're going to have plenty of time. I would urge Whisper Nation, as we do every year, just wait as long as you can to draft. It's just the way to do it. You let all the news kind of pilfer in and come out, and I think that's the way to do it. We just prefer that method, longer amount of time for you to get that information. Yeah, I would just say you got a little bit of time here. If Dalvin Cook says he's going to play, you go for it. If you're drafting before you know he's going to play, I don't know, unless you're going to really reach on Madison and really make sure you get him.
Yeah. Clock Management says if he plays, he's my RB2. Well, that's pretty good. I know Big Travi's hoping he plays because he's got Dalvin as his running back as well. Although you made the smart move. You made the smart move before this all went down and you grabbed Alexander Madison on the cheap because we had all messaged you and said, Travis, what are you doing, dude? Why don't you have Alexander Madison yet? And you hopped on it. You did your due diligence. You got a deal done. Well done. Let's see. Whether or not he plays or not, I have him around the 7th or 8th pick. Wow. Okay. So that's Captain Savaho says that. I don't know if I have him that low. If he's playing, I mean, if he shows up from day one from training camp, I think you've got to keep him in that top 5, right, Travis? Like, I don't think The only person that I would, in my personal book, which probably a lot of people would argue with, would maybe be Nick Chubb. Would be the only person that you would argue saying, "Hey, which one would you rather have?"
Yeah,
But
I'm not putting him above. I'm not putting him behind Nick Chubb. If he's playing, I'm not putting him behind Nick Chubb. I'm not putting him behind Joe Mixon. I could see the argument for behind Derrick Henry, but I personally would not put him there because Dalvin Cook is a talented, really talented wide receiver out of the backfield. And we've seen it happen there, and they can continue to push that. And look, Gary Kubiak's no stranger to making wide running back ones in this league. I mean, Arian
yeah,
Foster was a undrafted free agent that Gary Kubiak pounded the rock with. We know this zone scheme fits Dalvin Cook really well. It's going to be the very same thing. We're going to see some of these things. And Captain Savaho says, I just like guys like Henry and Kamara more. Look, I get it. Right now, I have Cook behind Kamara, too, like the rest of the consensus. Like,
yeah,
Kamara's a guy I really like
I
to bounce
love
back in a big
Kamara.
way. Set near 71 or 69, actually nice. Yeah, 69 it was.
Yeah,
Set 69 snap percentage share with the Saints last year. So that was his career high. And you got to like that on a bum ankle and some other things going on. If he gets healthy and gets right, that's a great offense, a great piece of fantasy football to have there.
All right, so these next two things are kind of tied together. And we'll talk about it. Travis, I want to get your opinion on redraft because I know that we'll definitely be getting this a lot if he hasn't signed by then in our mock draft marathon, which is coming up August 8th and 9th. If you want to tune, if you love mock drafts, make sure you tune in to our page. We'll be going live for 24 hours. Mock drafts have a bunch of people from the industry, giveaways, all that good stuff. Travis.
Yeah, you guys over here on Instagram, make sure you jump over to YouTube and subscribe to us so you know when we go live for that 24-hour mock draft marathon. You're going to definitely want to be a part of that.
Yep. So Travis, Seahawks, after they made this deal with Adams, a lot of people jumped on and said, okay, now they're just one wide receiver away from signing, and this is a legit a legit Super Bowl contending team. And those two wide receivers that they've been heavily linked to, one has been Antonio Brown, who has retired this week and then unretired this week for like the fifth time in his year off or half a year off. And then you also have the Seahawks linked to re-signing wide receiver Josh Gordon if the league reinstates him. So are you interested in either one of these guys? Is Antonio Brown a guy that you are still eyeing later on in drafts as a late round flyer?
Look, you took him. We did a mock draft a couple weeks ago where you took him really late, and I thought that was a heads up play. Look, like especially if he gets signed, you're going to want to be a part of that and have him on your team. Josh Gordon's the other one that's a little bit interesting. Look, he probably wants to get back just because he's watching the rest of the league benefit from this new weed policy.
I know.
Where they, like he's like, what the hell, man? You wait till I'm out of the league.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think either of these guys are worth a late round flyer. Now, AB is the more interesting talent to me. I think that he is more primed and ready to probably like explode over there in Seattle. But I would take a late round flyer on both of these guys. If you're, especially, we talk about this strategy when you're at the end of your draft and you don't have, you wait for defense or kicker. Why not pick up an Antonio Brown, wait till your season's about to start in week 1 and see if he gets signed by then pick up your kicker. You can stream kicker, you can stream defense.
Yeah.
I don't think you're taking too much of an L for a chance at a guy like AB or even, you get some of the guys that you can take late round flyers on.
Yep, totally agree. I like grabbing both those. Yeah, more so Antonio Brown. I don't know about Josh Gordon. I don't know if he is re-signed that he makes me all that excited. Antonio Brown still has it, in my opinion, or at least he looks like he still has it from the million workout videos that he posts every single day. So he would be someone that I would, as a late round flyer, be interested in. But again, you also, on the other side of that, just be careful because it could get a point where all of a sudden his ADP starts rising, and then it's not a conversation of like, okay, it's just like a free kind of dart throw, but then you're like, okay, now I got to legitimately weigh the risk of me having to take this player. So just be cautious of that in the next couple of weeks. Last couple of things, Travis, and then we'll get out of here. Wow, we got a couple of people saying, why don't they just go out and sign both of them? I don't know if they have the roster. Well, I don't know if they have the roster space for that, but they're signing 80 people this year, so they definitely have the roster space for sure. It's a possibility they could probably get both of them cheap enough to, who knows.
What a locker room that would be, man.
Yeah, right.
You talk about, and especially if they're probably not going to sign Jadeveon Clowney now, but could you imagine getting Jadeveon Clowney, AB, and Josh Gordon in the same locker room, and then you just got like little soft-spoken Russell Wilson.
Yeah, right.
Just like, hey guys, let's just get along, all right?
Can't we all just get along? Hey, I'm the one throwing the ball here. Yeah. All right, so we touched on the 49ers a little bit earlier, but this was a little bit of good news. Raheem Mostert and the 49ers, or he spoke to a high up executive or something with the 49ers to clear the air, and after the running back Raheem Mostert requested a trade when he wasn't happy with the contract that he signed himself a few weeks earlier. So that my folks, is a true lesson in know your worth before you sign your contracts.
Yeah, there's a couple of things here. Obviously, the Mostert thing coming back and talking to some higher up people and saying that he's going to be fine with the role, which, like, what else were you going to do? You're not like, you see how they use running backs in San Francisco. They don't care about you there. They're just running you in and out that there. But then Jerick McKinnon, the Athletics' Matt Barrow says he's bullish on Jerick McKinnon's knee returning to full health, saying that they've been pushing his surgically repaired knee, and it's responding pretty well. So now we've got a situation where, a month ago we were saying, okay, what's going on with Jerick McKinnon? Is there an opportunity? They paid him big money 2 off seasons ago. And I remember the story coming out with Shanahan banging on the table saying, look, I love this guy's talent. Look at this tape. I want this guy. And now we're a couple years later. We've got an aging Tevin Coleman. We've got a Raheem Mostert bitching about his money. And then you've got Jerick McKinnon tied to the Niners for a lot of cash.
Yeah. It's like,
why don't we just sign Devonta Freeman? Yeah, like, let's just do it,
Well, it's
we've got Jeff Wilson Jr., who's also pretty good back there. I mean, they got rid of. I've never seen anything of like addition by subtraction. They got rid of Matt Breida and then added more pieces to talk about here.
Yeah, I know. And then they picked up 2 more undrafted free agents too. And so, I mean, I am not 100. I could not say, and I don't think anyone, frankly, can. I don't even think Kyle Shanahan could, frankly, tell you exactly what he plans to do with this, but he does have a plethora of starting running backs that he can do with as he wants, because they all fit his scheme really well. So that is definitely something that you want to take note of. My general rule of thumb, and I don't know if Travi agrees with this or not, but I will typically take the second running back, because that ADP is much cheaper, but also there is a good chance that at some point he will be fantasy relevant for that team. But yeah, we have Pontiac showing up. He joins us on our mock draft Mondays. What up, man? He's in our chat stream here on YouTube. So just want to say, hey, what's up, the football show? Checking us out.
Smitty, what up,
Smitty? What up, buddy?
What's going on, brother? Smitty was just in the IG Experts League draft. He was posting some pictures from his draft. I believe that was a super flex league. I liked that. I liked what was going on there. I liked what he had going on. So he says, Captain Savaho says, never draft Niners or Dolphins running backs. I mean, I wouldn't say never on the Niners running backs. I think you could get a piece of that. And honestly, the Dolphins ADP is actually pretty nice. You just have to figure out who you'd like to go with as far as to lead the backfield in touches. For me, I think Breida's got the upside, but we even saw last year where some of these other guys were getting receptions out of the backfield. So I don't know if I just trust Miami and that line. It's just going to be a tough sell for me this year.
Oh, Smitty's saying he got Brady and Breeze in the 5th and 6th in his super flex. That's pretty good. We have Brady throwing a lot of touchdowns this year in our draft kit.
Projections.
Yeah, so pretty good combo there. I like it. Seasoned vets there.
Yeah, so Pontiac died in 1981, just said on YouTube. Just did an ESPN fantasy football draft. Got Chubb, Cook, Drake as RBs, and Ridley and Beckham as wide
Ooh,
receivers.
I like
Man, who are you
that.
drafting with? You got to
Yeah.
be a 10-team league or
No,
something.
dude. No, dude. He's drafting because he's followed us. He knows who to go for.
Yeah.
We've prepared
Well, I
him well.
guess, yeah.
We prepared him well. Although
Chubb and Cook
well, that must
and
mean
Drake.
he was probably. Wow, how do you get Drake to fall that? Oh, I was gonna say he's
I
probably
don't
in that
know,
eighth,
man.
maybe a keeper league. We'll check
Ridley
it out.
and Beckham make some sense at those, but
Yeah, I don't know, but and then we'll get last news here before we let people go. If anyone has any questions, then we could certainly dive into those on our lives. We got a pretty funny one here. But the last thing here that we have, Raiders owner says canceling the entire NFL season is still one of the 3 options the league has for the 2020 season. Definitely not something that we like to talk about here. We like to promote excitement and high energy and positive energy. So saying canceling of the season is something we don't say around here. So, but
yeah, it's if you look at some of the way that they that they set up this deal with between the NFLPA, it's like if they play one game, they've got to pay these guys salary, and then if they don't pay one game, they don't have to pay them.
Yeah.
So the idea is that maybe they cancel this season because then the NFL wouldn't owe the players any money. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think we're going to fall. If anything, if games get canceled, we'll fall somewhere in between one and something else. I think that's more likely. I think we'll actually end up with a shortened season before we ended up with a canceled one. That's my hope, at least. That's what I'm holding out for. But I think the NFL gets this done. You're starting to see baseball and basketball put it together and make it happen. I think the NFL can get their, for lack of a better word, shit together here and make it happen for us. We're counting on you. Like, make sure it happens, please.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Smitty over here, he's posting his team. It's pretty nice here. I like what he's doing here. Brady, Breeze, Cook, Drake, AJ Brown, Hollywood Brown, Kittle, Waller, and Debo. Pretty solid.
It must be a 2 tight end league then, right? If he's got
it could be
Kittle and Waller. It must be. I didn't notice that on the thing last night, but yeah, that's solid, man. I think he got all of his guys that he's been hyping up to this offseason too within AJ Brown and Kenyon Drake. So
yeah.
You and Smitty been on that train for AJ Brown and Kenyon Drake, so love to see that. Love to see Smitty holding true to his guys out there.
Yeah.
Saying that Waller just fell here.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Take Valley. There you go. Be like water.
Yeah, that's what we like to see. Listen, everybody, like as we said, we're going to do our mock draft marathon, 24 hours of straight mock draft marathon. Smitty, we'd love to have you on if you want to come on for one of those spots. I know last year we couldn't make it work, but August 8th, August 9th, 10 a.m. to 10 a.m., we're going to be drafting for 24 hours. If we can fit you in there, brother, we'd love to have you on, man.
Mm-hmm.
And anybody that wants to join us, make sure you're following us over on YouTube so you know when we go live with that mock draft marathon, 24 straight hours. Like we said, we'll be mock drafting. We've got a couple big names to announce. Hopefully, Smitty. We've got a few names to announce as well within the industry that we just love doing this, getting the community all jacked up. And who doesn't love a mock draft and mocking with your homies, man?
Right. Exactly. So. All right. Until next time. Well, we will be on tomorrow night doing a live mock draft. We are going to do. It is a Whisper League mock draft, so 14 team. It'll be just set up exactly how we are going to have our listener league. So please tune into that if you like mock drafting. Like you said, we're getting warmed up for our big one. So that will be tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, just like normal. All right, Big Trav, you got anything else? You have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. Enjoy the pool, man. Go have a beverage. Treat yourself. We appreciate you.
Later, guys.
All
Peace.
Right. Take it easy, Whisper Nation. Peace. Like and subscribe to our channel if you're following along and you haven't.